Here is where we are sort of thinking in our new strategy that Harun introduced around how microfinance could fit in, particularly in the light, as I said, of changing regulatory landscape. So this is sort of what is called the graduation model that we use a lot for our livelihoods programming, which is, recognizing that people will take time to move out of poverty. And there are a number of important interventions that NGOs or government organizations can do to help them to graduate out of poverty. Very important, of course, in the beginning is consumption support. So there is this misunderstanding that you could give someone a Kad Hassan who has nothing, right? The thing, what he will do with the Kad Hassan, he will eat it, right? If he has no food, no roof over his head, he cannot give this person a loan.
Yeah.
Or invest in him or her, because they actually need very basic
need first
from our zakat fund, for example,
humanitarian
or from the
first.
humanitarian funds. Yes. If they are destitute after an earthquake, they will need support from the humanitarian funding, etc., etc.
Yeah.
However, over time, and that's where our field officers come in, we then realize we can train these people, give them some skills if they haven't any skills, and also provide them with assets that they can use for productive purposes. So it's the classic sewing machine, or farmers will get seeds and fertilizers, kind of project that you see also in Indonesia, I'm sure. Then, of course, there is a point when they are out of extreme poverty. They are not, of course, these are not Bill Gates type of people yet, right? They're still very poor. They're still vulnerable, of course, to a flood, to an earthquake, to climate change. But we can now start introducing to some of our microfinance institutions. So we have a number of microfinance that we founded as Islamic Relief over the years. And they are now working with these beneficiaries that are out of extreme poverty. They're still either below the poverty line or they are above the poverty line, but very vulnerable to economic shocks. And they are now receiving financial facilities. And I'll show you what kind of products we use. Let me go back here. Let me go here first, maybe. So this is really how we sort of segment the market, if you like. I've already talked about the kind of welfare kind of starting point, bottom of the pyramid, it's zakat and sadaqah. We're not lending to people then. But once people are moving, slowly graduating out of poverty, we can give them Kad Hassan. They can now use this Kad Hassan and they can buy a productive asset with a Kad Hassan, for example. They can pay that card back, you can benefit someone else with it. And then they are able perhaps to use, if they are a farmer, they can use maybe one of our Jara products to access more land. Okay, or we can sell them fertilizer through Murabaha. We've done also quite a bit of Mudaraba, particularly in Palestine, even in Gaza before this war. Because Mudaraba particularly allows us also to create sort of bigger ticket size investments. Kad Hassan is often a small loan, because if we give it to the very, very poor people, and we are willing to write it off if they cannot repay it. Okay. Now, of course, every donation that we get is an amana. So I cannot, of course, from the outset, have the attitude that I write this off if it goes wrong, right? So
you have to select.
We have to select. We're trying to, with very vulnerable beneficiaries, the ticket size of loans, Kad Hassan loans, will be small.
Yeah.
But with slightly better, well-off, as I said, vulnerable, maybe non-poor, we can go into Mudaraba and the ticket size will be bigger.
Right.
Now we have, more of an ability to actually invest and support people, entrepreneurs now in their value creation journey. We're also using Salam, we'll talk about that in a second perhaps, and also Mulana, for example. But the idea, of course, again with graduation, is that at some point, of course, when people have established businesses and they can now look after themselves and their families, that we hand them over, of course, to the commercial Islamic finance sector, right? We're not lending or investing in people who are non-poor and not vulnerable.
Yes.
So there's an end point as well in this journey, right? But we recognize, of course, that beneficiaries have different financials and economic needs. So our product design is very much based on what we see in each country. So
It can be adjusted,
yeah,
right?
so we don't have Qad Hassan or Murabaha in every country.
Yes,
Some
of
countries
course.
we only have Salam because we're working particularly with farmers.
Fish farmers, it's customized, right?
Yeah, so it is very much customized on their needs. Okay. Quick, case study here on our Kobani Plus program. So this is where sort of we're trying to connect Udhia, Kobani. I'm not sure which term you're using in Kobani, in Indonesia. Okay. With a microfinance. So it's really what we do. We're buying about, there's a colleague out there who's buying about 100,000 cows and camels and goats.
Small cow.
Small cow, depending, again, countries have different approaches. But he will buy, a few weeks before Eid al-Adha, he will buy 100,000 animals. Because we run a Kobani program in maybe 20 different countries or so.
So it's not the fattening program, right?
No, it's not a fattening program. So he will buy them only a few days, weeks before Kobani, Eid al-Adha. Now this one actually buys the animals up to 12 months before, when they're young. Because of course, the real value generation process is in fattening the animal.
Yeah.
We give them, in this case, to widows from our orphan sponsorship program. And they have these animals on a Mozara basis. For 6 months roughly. We train them up in animal husbandry, if you like, and looking after the livestock. We also have some para-veterinaries who go around in the community. And at the end, just before, a few days before Eid al-Adha, we again now taking the animals back, selling them. In this case, also to our own Kobani program, or in the market. Because of course the price now has significantly grown over 6 months,
and you get the profit from
and
that.
we share the profit. In this case, initially 60-40, but now having done it for 3 years, we've actually increased the profit ratio 80-20 in the favor of the beneficiary. So now a very poor woman, in this case in Niger, she can earn about $70, in a couple of months or so. Of looking after a goat, which is not really some very labor-intense kind of animal that roams around. It feeds itself. We also have combined the project also with Salam, because we also realize that fodder can be an issue and fodder can be pricey, and therefore we're creating sort of a subsidized fodder supply chain also for those animals in the community. And that's been a very successful program, again, sort of trying to combine microfinance with one of our large religious kind of giving programs.
Very interesting.
Finally, those 3,000 staff or so that we have out there, about 100 of them are working in microfinance. We also set up a development course for that with a German business school. We set up a course that's called the Certified Expert in Islamic Microfinance. It's a 6 months program. Actually, Adil is one of our alumni, I should say, and it's very helpful, obviously, to teach people everything to do around, as you said, not just now the theory. In a business school, of course, we have a much more practical approach, not just the theory of the different types of Islamic finance contracts, but also how you actually apply them. And Islamic Relief's work and the work of other Islamic microfinance institutions is used as sort of practical case study material in the program. And I think finally,
that's quite comprehensive.
We are where we are. Yes, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So hopefully that answered some of your questions.
Yep.
Happy to answer any further.
I have a few questions and maybe suggestions. I discussed zakat with a few zakat institutions in Indonesia, and a few ideas from them is very interesting. So in terms of giving the mustahik cash, they the business process is like this. This is Amil institutions, and this Amil institution, not Amil, Amil institution zakat, and they have to find a good entrepreneurship, yeah, philanthropists,
Mm.
businessmen. They like to give donations and things like that. So this guy with his company will look for the mustahik,
Mm.
and this mustahik, they offer a job for the mustahik to work in that company. Yeah, but still, this is a mustahik that needs a zakat, and the zakat is given. This company will pay zakat to this amil, and the amil will give zakat to this mustahik in terms of shares. So
Mm.
this entrepreneurship is willing to release some of his shares for the mustahik. So the mustahik got two. First is the monthly salary because he works in this company,
Mm.
and after a year, when the dividend come out, and they got the profit, and they receive the part of the dividends as a shareholders.
Mm.
So this create a belonging from the mustahik to work in that company. First, he earns salary, and then he has his own. He has a portion of the company.
MashaAllah. Is that something that you actually? Yes,
Cooperative,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is a little bit like Mohammed Yunus's social business sort of model. He's doing
Yeah.
various things where he's combining a small dairy farmers, for example, in Bangladesh, right?
Yeah.
And put them together with Danone, the French dairy company, and basically made them part of a cooperative that supplies and become not just suppliers but also shareholders.
Yes, shareholders. And the second one, I found that different AMIL institutions. So initially, these AMIL institutions, one of the private in Indonesia, we have a public AMIL institutions and also the private AMIL institutions. This private AMIL institution, which I discussed, they helped the mustahik in doing a business, and this AMIL will have a planning for them to grow up. And up to certain point, when they are ready to expand their business, they become the co-shareholders with the amil. So amil is not only giving the money for zakat, but amil has another divisions for the commercial purposes, whereby it's like a joint venture, whereby when it grows up, so okay, we co-join, and then we set up the company. So this will ensure the sustainability, that they will co-work together, because this AMIL institution, they have in Indonesia, they have offices almost in all province. So when this product, this can be marketed by this AMIL towards all over Indonesia, and this is one of the good model, I think. And
Are these models actually live? Are they being implemented?
yes,
They're being implemented.
yeah.
Okay.
I can connect you with my friends for this particular.
I'd be interested in having a conversation to see how that's working.
Yeah. And
Well,
also,
carry on.
well, the last one, this microfinance, different again. This is different institutions. The government, the local government, they have zakat funds, but if zakat funds is limited, not many. Zakat funds is given to all the mustahik. The mustahik will only receive a very small amount. So because of that, the local government is not giving this amount, but this mustahik, they get the financing from the bank, but the profit margin is paid by this local government. So it's not giving the loan, but this mustahik, they have to get financing from the Islamic rural banks, right? So this Islamic rural banks will give the normal murabaha, ijaro, and things like that. But the mustahik only, the micro entrepreneurs only pay back the corpus, the principal, and the margin is paid by this local government. So with that, they can help much more mustahik, rather than they give a loan, right?
Give the zakat directly.
Yeah.
To
Yeah, so they give the only the small part, but only the profit. So the corpus they have to return back to the.
And also, this is now going over to zakat, obviously already, because we're having a discussion here, obviously, on the issue of the tamlik. Yeah.
Tamlik, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Ownership.
yeah, so the
Ownership.
transfer of the ownership, right?
Ah,
It's an interesting way of potentially, obviously, because in microfinance, when we give, even if you do murabaha or whatever, right? You finance murabaha, the tamlik requirements, particularly in Hanafi fiqh, obviously, right? You have slightly more.
Safi.
You have slightly more. I think a little bit more. The Hanafis are very, very strict on the tamlik. Yeah? Correct. In general, compared to
they are.
the Shafis, right?
Yeah. Right.
Obviously, we cannot use zakat for a murabaha transaction, right?
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not giving
Yeah,
murabaha actually. The murabaha.
Carry on.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Obviously, there might be a possibility of, because you're now not using the zakat for the principle.
Yeah, not using the zakat for
Yeah.
principle.
But you could use the zakat. In this case, you are using the zakat,
Yeah.
obviously, for the profit share or
Yes,
the
profit
markup
portion.
on the
Yes.
murabaha, depending on what product you use.
Yes.
Sorry.